Welcome to Daddy Issues. Conversations with Dads. A podcast from Fathers and Families Center of Indianapolis, Indiana. My name is Jason Acquisto, and my co-host is Larry Smith. Larry, the president and CEO of Fathers and Families Center of Indianapolis, Indiana. This is part 2 of our conversation. Our guest is Craig Spinner. Craig, high school counselor at Noblesville High School, and he's seen and talked with a lot of parents about a lot of things. Craig, what do you think is the cause for anxiety in the 21st century? And is it just a more aware culture, or is there more anxiety?
I wish I had empirical evidence to validate or prove what I'm about to assert, but I think it's these things. I think, and I'm holding up my cell phone because we're a podcast. It's technology, and I say that hyper aware that that's a easy scapegoat that a lot of people blame. But when I first started teaching, kids didn't have cell phones in their pockets, so they weren't connected. And so they didn't. So when they went home, things during the school day stayed at home for the most part. There was the internet, right? But not at the speed. It's instant now. And it's 24/7, and it's so much more sophisticated than it was when I started in 1998. And
you don't have to get off the phone to use the internet, basically.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct. Right. There's only one browser to use. And as technology has advanced, parents have gotten older. And so you have more technology immigrants as parents. And so the kids are technology natives. Our kids know nothing else than a life with cell phones because that's their life. Just like the three of us, when we were in high school, only knew that there was a phone on the wall. And we laugh at that, but we've got to think it answers your question to a T. And so our kids can have access to anything they want, any time of day, any time of night, as long as that thing has enough bars on it. And they don't have to wait to get to the computer, and everybody's got them. And so I think we are in we have a culture of teens, kids, who have to reconcile with that. And if we are already predisposed to stress and anxiety, whether that's whatever, you have ADHD or you have you have depression, or God forbid it's more severe than that, bipolar doesn't show up till later, but something along those lines, and you mismanage your screen time, right? It only exasperates that. And so it's hard enough growing up without being connected all the time and dealing with all those issues that come with social media and connection. And that stuff's not bad. It's not taboo. But if unmanaged, it's difficult enough. And if unmanaged by somebody who's already predisposed to mental health issues, or God forbid mental illness, I think that's why it's on the rise. And kids just think that their parents are just being fuddy-duddies or old or whatnot. But, show me a home that manages social media perfectly. I would venture to say that if you took 10 families and wherever in middle America, I bet less than half feel successful managing that. You can shove it down their throats, you can mandate, you can take away, but sometimes it's just not that easy. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge.
One of the things I think about is, and I thought about this because I asked about warning signs earlier. Just with me personally, in my 2 teens, one of the challenges is, given the fact that they are so academically strong. My daughter's a senior, straight A student, definitely going to college here in several months. Son, sophomore, number 1 in his class academically. And a lot of times when you have kids who perform that well academically, the assumption can be that they don't need these kinds of interventions and so on. Whereas their mom and I were divorced, have found that they both have needed counseling, and that came as a surprise. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say, but it came as a surprise, because we just thought that they were completely well adjusted, et cetera, et cetera. So can you talk about that a little bit? You know, there are some kids who obviously need some kind of intervention, but it's not confined to class or academic prowess or whatever. We have to keep our eyes on all of our kids.
Yeah, that's a great point, Larry. Well, kudos for you for getting them that help, because you know a lot of parents will tell me, you know, that's I don't believe in that, or that what's that going to do, or I can talk to them. And counseling's not talking. That's why we go get advanced degrees, and there are techniques and theories and ways to practice therapy. I think your question was, can I talk to mental health? Doesn't discriminate.
Absolutely.
and it doesn't matter. So some of the most difficult situations that I think about, as you said that, are with uber striver high achievers. You know, like a B is the end of the world, you know, and I've never gotten anything less than an A or an A minus. And it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Those are difficult situations. So you're right. We often think about counseling as, or people do, for troubled youth or troubled adults. Man, counseling is like going to get a massage for your brain, man. We all love to go get a massage, right? And I always tell kids and parents, who wouldn't love to go spend an hour a week and have somebody unconditionally not judge them, listen to them, and pour into them and help them, right? And so when you talk about, you know, your kids being straight A kids, you know, so you've taught them, so they have academic prowess. Great. It doesn't negate their emotional needs. That doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, right? It's just kind of the way they're wired. You know, sometimes the chemistry just needs knocked around a little bit, or there's emotional needs that they don't want to connect with us or you about. And that's the beauty of paying a therapist. And I've had to, I mean, look, I do this for a living, you know, and you know, I always say, you know, the barber can't cut their own hair. And if they do, it'd look worse than mine. I haven't combed it to show up for this episode. Thank God we're on a podcast, but my kids don't want dad to be their therapist. And so for one of mine, we hadn't had those needs, but for the other, it's been the best thing for them. And we're going on, you know, 4 years with the same therapist for one of our kids. So yeah, I mean, thank God for that. And the way we describe that is, hey, listen, this is somebody that is there to help you. If clearly you don't want to talk to us, that's okay. That's okay. But you have to work through these things, right? We're setting the boundary that if you're not going to allow us to do it, then we want to help. We're going to pay for somebody to help you through that. And like I said, we're going on year 4 with that therapist, and I owe that therapist the world. She's wonderful.
Awesome.
Here's my favorite quote: "Counseling is like getting a massage for your brain."
I mean, I might have stolen that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not yours. It doesn't matter who said it. It's a good quote, because I think, to me, it illustrates it's not just for someone who, quote unquote, has problems. It's for everybody who has a brain. And we all have stuff, right? We all have baggage and reasons and motivations and issues of some kind. We're all weirdos when you get down to it, right? So I like normalizing it. I like to think that everyone could benefit from counseling of some kind.
100%.
Counseling or analysis, call it what you will. Counseling implies that you have a need, but I think we all do. And I thought about, when you talk about the high achievers, like talking about kids who have everything going for them, oh, good grades, you know, on the debate team, blah, blah, blah. I thought about the kid from our favorite 80s movie, Breakfast Club. He was a straight A student, the nerd, Anthony Michael Hall, Brian Johnson is the character. he was in there because he did something to avoid getting that B, because he could not face the stigma of getting a B, because so much pressure was on him as who he had become, this
Mhm.
this image, right?
Yeah, one of the things you just made me think about, one of the best educators I ever worked with described specifically middle schoolers as people that, and I think this relates to Larry, a question you asked, as putting up the Heisman. So I'm holding my hand up, kind of like keep you away, right?
Mhm.
So if you're listening, if you can envision me putting up my hand to keep you away, but with my left hand, but with my right hand, I'm waving you towards me, and I think that's that's the enigma, or the what's the word, the
Paradox.
paradox, thank you,
Mhm.
that I think kids get into and that parents don't realize. Our kids want us, but our kids are so comfortable with us, they don't always want to connect with us, and that's okay. And we have to, with one, I have one that will allow me to connect more than the other, and that is okay with
Hmm.
me. And there were days where I would think about, what did I do wrong? I went to graduate, I'm a school counselor. I help people manage their stress, and this child of mine who I raised isn't allowing me. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm unconditionally not going to allow my child to be dysregulated to the point where they can't function,
Mm.
right? And if it's interfering with their ability to be happy, then I'm going to step in,
Hmm.
right? And do that with care and concern and love. And so I think that goes back to your first question, Larry. What are some things we should do? Be ready to have all hands on deck, and sometimes do things that are uncomfortable as a parent.
Hmm.
Well, and I appreciate that.
This is Daddy Issues, and we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Your day moves fast. Your news should too. That's why there's a new and improved Wish TV app bringing you more local news, breaking alerts, live streaming, weather forecasts, radar, and Indiana sports all in one place. Customize your news feed to see the stories that matter most to you and get the information you need when you need it. Download the new and improved Wish TV app today on iOS or Android and take News 8 with you everywhere.
And now, let's get back to Daddy Issues.
I just have one more question slash comment or criticism. That is, I think in our society, and certainly from an insurance standpoint, we make this sort of artificial separation between physical health and mental health. And do you see that insurance companies in particular are beginning to provide more coverage for mental health services in the same way that they do for physical? So, if someone, breaks their arm or whatever, insurance covers it, et cetera. But we need to understand that some of these types of injuries, mental or emotional injuries, much more difficult to see, but are in some ways can be much more important to treat than the injuries that we can see.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm equipped to answer that with much confidence. What I tend to see is that I see more therapists groups, more therapy offices not taking insurance.
Mm.
Hmm.
And that's what is difficult for me.
Wow.
And if I'm struggling with that in Hamilton County, where the per capita income is some of the highest in our state,
Mm-hmm.
and there's plenty of people that are in need in our county, then what are our inner cities across America and our rural areas? What are they experiencing? They're experiencing, they're filling up our community health agencies that are understaffed, underpaid, and struggling. And so there is still, I believe, a problem in preparing mental health providers because they feel like, I'm not going to, how can I make a wage doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, I didn't get into teaching. I never thought about money as a teacher. I just knew it's what I felt like I should be doing. And then when I spent most of my day teaching emotional stuff, I thought I naturally gravitated to being a school counselor. And so I guess get back to your question, I don't know specifically about insurance companies. My observation is just that I continue to work with a lot of families that struggle to find good care, mental health care for their kids and themselves, because so many are fed up with insurance companies and not getting reimbursed. And so it's expensive. Now, I will say, I feel like, and I don't have anything to back this up, I feel like more families are saying, yeah, my company has an EAP program and that's new. So that's somewhat encouraging. But man, we've got a long way to go as a society. I don't know what the answer to that is.
Wow.
And I don't think it's a positive one right now.
Yeah, that's a really important issue, because even if we destigmatize and normalize and make people feel better about feeling better, or, feel okay about not feeling okay, still got to pay for it.
Yeah,
Got to
but I would also add to that. It makes me think about, there's a lot of other things, when we talk about dad and parents, but if we're talking about dads, listen, shameless plug here, but listen to a podcast, read a book, the Google's a great thing. We were kind of blaming technology before, but let's use it to our advantage. Like, plug in and find somebody with that issue, Google self-help, Google parenting, whatever, and tap into resources that are free. So, it's not to say counseling's the answer to everything.
I got a question, and I'm sensitive to your time. We appreciate so much all of this sharing from an expert point of view, because if nothing else, it's a different vantage point. You got a different point of view than we are privileged to have. So that, on top of the expertise and then what you've seen every day, it's valued and appreciated. But I do want to ask you this: if you could offer dads something, what's one thing that we should all know about our kids that we don't know?
Wow. That we don't know. That every kid has an amazing capacity to love and be great, despite what they do. I think we miss that. I think
What do you mean, despite what they do?
Despite their mistakes, however they mess up, whatever transgressions or behavior we don't like in them, or wherever it is on the spectrum of our, that kids screw up a lot. I mean, we could turn this around and be funny about all the things we did as kids. Ask any parent, when I was, there's all that. But now that we're the responsible ones for the lives of these kids, like, no matter, it's the hardest damn thing in the world. I mean, I've always wanted to, like, ask a neurosurgeon or I don't know, somebody that's, I don't know, what are some of the highest stress jobs on the planet?
Air traffic controller.
Yeah. Show me, is that harder than parenting? I don't know, man. And I share that as a very emotionally wired human. And I know that about myself, and I think that's why my wife and I have been successfully married as long as we have, is that she's the one that gets over it very quickly, and I'm the one that stews about it. Your question was amazing. Our kids.
That was an amazing answer, though. That's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have to remind myself of that. I spend a lot. I lean into mindfulness and breath work and the amygdala and all that stuff, and that's kind of been my go-to over the last several years with kids and adults. And I have to remember to do that with myself and stop. And I share this because that's a good mantra. I always talk to kids, like, maybe instead of using the word mantra, I'll tell a kid, maybe if you just repeated the same phrase to yourself and practice that. Sounds ridiculous, I know, kid, but just maybe if you could look yourself in the mirror and 25 times a day, you can say, I got this. maybe you'll start believing it. Like there's a lot of good research in positive self-talk, and it's not rocket science and news to anyone. But man, if we can just remind ourselves that our kids they have amazing capacities they're all good. They're all good. That's what I hate at school. Like in a school environment, I don't know who's listening, but I hate to out schools, but schools, educators have a bad habit of using verbiage like those good kids or my bad kids or my good class and my bad class and my this class. And I was guilty of it too, right? But if you reframe that, right, it makes you feel differently about what's going to enter the door. It's my challenging class. It's my rambunctious class. It's my talkative class. Why aren't we doing that about our own kids? Right? It's my delinquent kid. It's my this kid. Well, then that becomes the story you tell yourself.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's not our reality.
That's really great insight, and I think that's really valuable to hear, because we're doing this podcast for dads and parents, and this has really been I really feel fed by all this information and perspective. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I guess for me, I have to be honest. I laughed when you asked me to be on it because you and I laugh all the time, but you do a very good job of explaining to me that what I do isn't what everybody else does. And I guess when I go to work every day, I feel like, well, I wonder, is this a skill? It just feels like natural. Like it's just kind of what I do.
That's
I don't know.
You're in the right job.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I know that. I do know that, but I'm glad to feed because I believe in public schools in a time where they're being bashed and torn apart for all the wrong reasons and worse than ever politically and even on a more local, intimate level. And there are amazing things going on everywhere, and not just in the schools that I've been in and am in. So a lot of people that love working with kids and just want to see them grow.
And I'll tell you, I know it's a school night, man. So you got to get up and do what you do. So thanks for what you do and for sharing it with us today.
Well, I'm humbled and grateful to be here, and I love what you guys are starting to do. I hope this thing takes off. I will say there's a lot of stuff out there on helping others, but when you hone in on men and dads, I think you're onto something here. You really are.
This is Daddy Issues. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
And now back to the show.
Because you talked about my vantage point, and yeah, there's a lot of men that could use more help, and I think the key is getting them connected to want to listen and be receivers of information with humility.
It is, and just for the record, we do have emotional, physical, mental health partners at Fathers and Families. We're a supported organization of Eskenazi Health, first of all.
Oh, okay.
And then we also have partnerships with Shalom and Raphael as well.
Okay.
So
yeah, I do work with Eskenazi through the Hoosier Heartland Healing Collaborative.
Excellent.
Yeah, I run certified mind-body medicine practitioner and run groups for adults. Yeah, and we can run groups in anywhere. So if
okay,
and it's a shameless plug, but it might be a neat way to connect you. There's some people forming some great stuff right here in Central Indiana.
Well, I appreciate that. Definitely, we'll avail ourselves.
And so you talk about what can dads do. I'd love to run a group just for men. I will ask you both. Guess how many men I've had in my groups over the last 3 years?
Out of how many people total?
70.
I want to say 35. I'll say half.
I would say less than that. I'd say 25.
0.
Wow.
Zero.
Wow.
Zero.
Oh no.
Yeah. And when they advertise these things, it's and that's why I say this from my perspective. Here I am, and I offer it free. Like I find ways to get paid so that the receivers don't have to pay for it. So we might come into an agency, or we might, I'll go to a school and say, hey, if we can write a grant and fund this, get your people to do it for nothing. Right. And it's 8 weeks, it's an 8-week thing. It's free. Just work on yourself, learn new skills, this and that and the other. It's always women that flock to that.
Wow.
And I'm always, I've been the only, and I'm a co-facilitator. I take part in everything they do. I'm trained to facilitate. I'm not their therapist. I'm not their counselor. I'm a co-facilitator. And so I'm usually the only male. I have been the only male.
Every time.
I say that because in this last group of educators that I'm finishing up this week, is we had a male teacher, and he attended a couple times, and then he couldn't. He had some other. I was so excited, and it didn't work out in his schedule and whatnot. So, zero. So when I tell you guys what you're doing is powerful, I speak about it from truth. Yeah, but I'm kidding aside. Sorry I got kind of straight away there. I don't know if you can.
No, that's cool.
If you wanted something to help, like talk about, what we didn't touch upon, which I thought maybe, just that whole idea of self-regulation.
Yeah.
It got me thinking about. I think I can imagine kind of the clientele you serve, and man, it'd be fun to do some mindfulness work together. And
I definitely want to follow up with that.
We should get lunch together, or a good episode would be just a mindfulness episode.
Yeah, what is right, exactly. Part of this is about mental health in our kids, and the other side of that coin is mental health in ourselves. I found myself thinking about that as we talked about. This applies to the dads or the parents, not just what to look for in the kids. And so that's the other part of your world, Craig, is that you deal with a lot of people as parents who need things as well.
Yeah. Parents don't normally call me because they have really good news to report, or I'm usually getting someone that needs something or is upset.
Wow, that's something. It's the fire department. They don't call to say thanks for your help.
Right.
They call to say, help me now.
Yeah. Good stuff, you guys. I think it's I love doing it. I love connecting.
I want to thank you, Craig, for your time. Very helpful. Very helpful.
Man. I hope so. Pleasure to connect.
Okay, Mr. Spinner.
Okay, guys.
Have a good one,
All
sir.
right. Thank you so much.
Everybody.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Daddy Issues. Be sure to connect with us on social media. Feel free to email us, dads@thedaddyissuespodcast.com. Daddy Issues is a podcast from the Fathers and Family Center of Indianapolis, Indiana. To learn more about the programs of Fathers and Family Center, visit fathersandfamilycenter.org.